feel like I inherited having a relationship to music, like before I even had a chance to think about it or choose it or anything, in the same way that like if you learn a language really young, like your brain is soft and open and porous, and you can take things in. My older sister played the violin when she was young, and I think honestly as soon as I could hold and verbalize that I wanted to do it too, I was just kind of following in her footsteps. There's this really funny picture of us. I'm like maybe 3 or 4, and she is, maybe 7, and I'm like in my underwear and my like hair sticking out straight, and I'm just like gripping my violin with like kind of crazy eyes, and she's like big sister style holding it like exactly how she should hold it, and like, you know, it's like that portrait feels true to this day. But my dad is a guitar player, and I think he was extremely excited to have 2 potential tiny collaborators to work on projects with. And I feel like he definitely just like created a space where that was really just fun and connective for us. I honestly think one of my earliest memories of like listening and playing music, or an experience with music, is coming home from like kindergarten and taking one of my dad's B.B. King CDs and putting that on and practicing cartwheels to B.B. King until dinner time. And I think that's kind of like an epic little experience that I made for myself as a little one, but it was like those sounds were accessible. My dad played the blues and bluegrass, and even as a young kid, he would like have me practice my blues face. Like he'd be like, "Emily, blues face," and I'd be like, you know, like he wanted us to feel it and relate to music in the way he did, and I appreciate that too. He would hold me and my sister upside down when we would be getting ready for a recital, because he's like, if you can play it upside down, you can play it right side up. And my dad, my sister, and I would make like cassette tapes to send out for Christmas, of like, maybe I would be like singing "I'm a Little Teapot," but like there's some guitar in the background. So it was, like music was just there, and it was fun. It didn't really have to sound a specific way. And I think that root is so protective to have and such a blessing. And I think over time that definitely swayed, you know. Classical violin is a totally different ball game, but I do feel like I try and return to that ethos of that was in my house. And my mom played the piano a bit too and would teach me things as well. So that was incredibly sweet. I think after that was just, you know, maybe like for the next 10 years, I was playing classical music and in orchestras, and there was something truly singular about playing in an orchestra, about like playing music with 60 other people, and you're all pushing and working towards something, and it's like large scale, maximalist, like collective action. And I think that informs a lot of how I want to like make music to this day, like in connection with others, or even like in my visual art practice too, like collaboration is always what I want to gravitate towards. And I think orchestra really instills that, of like how much more you can create when you have other people and other sounds with you. But then, you know, also with that, there's like this sense of competition. Sometimes it can feel like a sport where you're training and you're trying to get faster and more precise, and the goal is perfection. So, you know, there's a push and pull there for me that I definitely, for a while, I was like on board with. I was like ready to, I wanted to be really good. I wanted to train. I wanted to like have the affirmation that I was doing this right. But I think over time, I started to feel definitely like a repressive nature to that. And I can have more love for orchestra now, but I feel like I've likened it to people, to like when you're trying to keep wearing a pair of pants that just like doesn't fit you anymore, and you're like putting on like a pair of like tight skinny jeans and you're walking around and you're like, okay, I can do this, but I don't know if it's right. And like, I know that there's a way of expressing myself and a way I want to relate to music that is not within the container of classical music. And there's a lot around the like accessibility of who can join in and the sounds that are like allowed to be made and even how you're allowed to express in response to it that like started to make me just feel a little curdled in when I would be in an orchestral situation. As much as I like still do love the sound and have so much love for it, I think at a time in my life I just like really needed to break out of that. And yeah, that leads me more to where I am now. But the cool thing about playing in orchestras for many years is like, I've played in orchestras in Oakland, I played in orchestras in Montreal. Like that one was entirely like Francophone and I barely spoke French. And it was like with mostly like elderly people in the outskirts of the city. Or I've played in like tango quartets, and it's nice to have this like tool and language and sounds you can make and see where that can take you. Initially, like the same reason I started playing the violin, I came here because my sister was here. But I think what has kept me here is one, I think my creative practices all take like deep inspiration from spending time in nature and having like just the lushness of the elements in California that you have such immediate access to. I think keeps me here, and I think the pacing forces me more to like take the space I need to make things. And I think also like Oakland in the Bay Area has like such an amazing like history and culture, and like the music that comes out of here is like deeply inspiring. I was like, I know that there's sounds in Oakland and sounds in Berkeley that like I want to be a part of and I want to learn from. I mean, like even thinking about like early favorite sounds being the blues, like every Monday at Eli's in Oakland, being able to hear like blues legends, it's unreal. And I think, yeah, it has just been extremely like, yeah, just a blessing, all the people that I have met that are teaching me and inspiring me. A big part of my experience of living in the Bay has been working with young people and being a teacher. I guess for the past 5 years, that's what I've been doing, whether it was in visual arts or like science and technology or like social support. I've been working with young people. And my way of connecting with them always was like through what they're listening to or drawing with them. So I think that that has been always my avenue of like spending time with people, even young people. And yeah, I guess that brings me to right now. I teach music production for a program called Girls on the Mic. And that's actually how I met my current collaborators. Id, who their project is Idhaz. And yeah, we met through being teachers together and teaching middle school classes together. And after that, they had asked me to join them for a performance that they were doing at the Legion of Honor with Smart Bomb, who has, we've played at a few of their events together. And that felt like a really big moment for me, like one of those moments that I didn't know if I was like ready for or able to do, but I like didn't want to miss this opportunity. So like I remember just showing up and being like, okay, like I'm ready, like let's do this set. They're like an experimental ambient, but like just multi-genre kind of electronic musician, and kind of expecting to be given like instruction or direction, but that felt like the first time someone was like, just do whatever. And like I would do something and be like waiting for feedback of like, okay, you want more of that, more of this? And it was so clear that like that was not the role that they were gonna play for me. And I think they just like trusted me, and that like definitely has allowed me to get more expansive in my playing too. So yeah, right now I've been playing with Id for the past year, doing mostly like ambient and experimental. I'm usually fully improvising in all of our sets, which has been really, really cool to cultivate the sense of presence and listening, and also just trust in your hands and your heart and whatever is leading you in those moments. We've also been playing in a noise act as well too. They have another project called Vio with an awesome noise musician, Christopher Moore. So me, Id, and Christopher have been playing some sets together, and that's been really cool as well. Like just full expansive sounds, like it is screaming. And then that gives me the freedom to play in ways that I didn't know that I could play or were allowed to play. And it's nice to play with people that come from such like different sonic places from you, and like and really learn from that. I also have been taking painting and teaching painting a lot, and I think the two mediums definitely inform each other. Like I think of rhythm when I'm painting, and you know, like colors when you're playing music, and it's nice to cultivate these different channels and have them like feed different needs. Like painting is a little more solitary and introspective for me versus playing music feeling very like in connection and presence. Within, I guess, other layers of childcare, youth work, painting, music, I've been, of course, doing all of the random odd jobs of like trying to support all of these things: farmers markets, serving, babysitting, Craigslist ads. Like there's been, it hasn't really been, you know, like a linear process of one thing to the next. It's kind of just uncovering and running around. It does feel, since the way of playing, it's just like a experimental improvisational way, feels so new. It does really feel like a psychedelic experience almost, to like really open myself up in that way. And it still feels quite like surreal to perform for people, and it's fun to like to strengthen that skin too. I don't feel like I'm someone that is like effortless, natural performer, but it's nice each time to just build trust in the ability to get up there and have it not feel like the end of the world, have it feel like a part of a much longer process. when I think about what I imagine or want for myself moving forward, there's a few different layers. I think at this point, I've affirmed to myself that making art, making music, I want to be a part of my life forever. And now there's kind of just like the logistical kind of foundational work, I feel like, to figure out how you want to relate to those things in your life. Like, do I want these things to be in my career? Do I want them to be like in this much time? You know, I think I'm trying to figure out like the just genuine like logistical ways of how to support yourself and do these things that you love doing, and how to not have the need to support yourself influence how you're making these things. I think like a process that anyone making music or art can relate to. But in a more like creative realm, I would really like to find ways to integrate visual arts into the, you know, sonic things that I've been working on. So I like have some visions of that, and I think it would be cool to be making things that feed into each other, that are like visual pieces inspired by sounds and vice versa. And I think that will be a fun direction to work on moving forward. With violin specifically, I think I've been in a moment of wanting to fully hone in on intuition and freedom and openness. And I think I'm now just right on the precipice of a season of like wanting to fine tune some more skills that allow me to communicate new things. I would love to learn from more people, have a teacher that I really like that I could work with. And I think also I've been mostly only doing performance. And I think it could be fun to start to move into trying to do some more recording and seeing how that feels, or even like trying to more intentionally like compose and create things versus just like everything right in the moment. Like I want to have balance of those two things and keep kind of stretching the tools that I'm working with. But I've been doing so much violin this year that I'm starting to feel like more withdrawal from painting too. So I think going into this winter, I want to be like processing, you know, all the playing that's been happening, and the performances of the past year, and thinking about, you know, taking a second to like to breathe and like understand where I want to take things, and hopefully having some more time to work on the visual art. But I think the future does feel a little unclear. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to spend my time and how to do that and make a living. So that feels like a priority right now, but I'm hoping that things will start to come into place.